Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to do an extra video around some of the costs of the trip that we did to Spain and the Pyrenees. I figured it might be useful to any bikers that are planning on doing it for their first time, or just wanted a bit of an insight into how much it cost us and where our money ended up going. So with that said, we'll crack on with the video. There's a bit of an intro of me just going in the garage, seeing the bike for the first time and the state of it when I get back, and then I'll get into it. Right, the bike has been in the garage for a week. I haven't looked at the poor thing. I came back absolutely soaked and I brought the poor bike back. Oh my God. Give it a quick wipe over and then just, oh, wow. I don't know if that's scratched through. Yeah, it looks absolutely disgusting. Wow. It got battered on the way home. I mean, on the journey, it was, I've never seen my bike this filthy. Poor thing, man. Look. Okay, so the bike was put back in the garage, quick wipe over, and then left for the past week while I was catching up on work, sleep, and doing some video editing. Today is going to be cleaning the poor thing off. So I guess one of the biggest costs, and the first one that might be on people's minds, is the ferry. Now, a ferry with one motorcycle space when we booked, which was the May bank holiday, we booked the Friday going out in the evening at 10 p.m. It was £710 for the ferry with a motorbike space. And that was with no accommodation. I believe accommodation on the Salamanca was not compulsory. Some ferries, I found out it is. The cheapest cabin was a 4-berth for £130 each way. So the cabin added £260 on to the journey, bringing the total to £970. And obviously you can share and then reduce the total of that £260, by half, by, thirds, or even, cut it into 4. But me and Joe, personally, we struggle to sleep anyway, so we wanted a cabin to ourselves to guarantee at least a couple of good nights sleep on the way out, so we were fresh when we got there. Graham and Simon shared, so they split the £260. So in total then, if you want one yourselves, that's £970 for a cabin on the way out, on the way back, including the ferry, including the space for your motorcycle. You can get it a bit cheaper if you shop around and don't go Maybank holiday. I think there was another ferry a couple of days later. It might have been the Monday, and you could have also saved another couple of £100. So I think it just depends on when you want to go, and then just having a look on the Brittany Ferries website. And that was from Portsmouth to Santander. Next up then is going to be the hotels and the accommodation. So we've already talked about the cabins. We had 7 nights in Spain. We were booking on the go and just trying to find what we could each night. We all wanted our own room so that we could try and guarantee that we'd at least have a good chance of getting reasonable sleep. We had 7 nights, so it was a total of £482. I think the average was around 60 a night. The first night in Potes, Hotel Infantando, was 72. Hotel Palacio del Elorriga, I can't say it, Vittoria Gasteiz was 64. We had Hotel Real Jaca and Spa in Jaca for 60. Hotel de España in Lourdes was only 58, but they ripped us off for parking at £9 each a bike. Hotel Restaurante Castillo de Archa in Ceresa was £70. Hotel Lopania in Lietz, which was a hostel, was 64, but we still had our own room each. And then splashed out on the final night for £94 at Hotel Restaurante Puerto Romano in Burgos. So it was a total of £482 for accommodation. and that was excluding breakfast. The only place we paid for breakfast was Hotel Infantando. Every single other place wanted about 15 euros or pounds for breakfast. So for the ferry, the cabins each way, all of the hotels, we're now looking at £1,452 for the trip. The next one I'm going to come on to is going to be fuel, and this one's been a bit harder to reconcile. I've gone through my bank statement and I've got quite a few marked as fuel, so I know what those ones are, but I also paid for a few tanks in cash, but I can't remember how many. So including fueling up in the UK, if we said that was, I don't know, £15, it looks like most days there was a 15.61, there was an 11.44, there was another 10, another 15.29, 13.21, and I must have at least put 2 or 3 tanks of fuel in at about $15 each. So difficult to tell exactly, but it's going to land somewhere around £110, maybe a little bit more, give or take, for fuel for the entire trip. And that's, like I said, fueling up full tank on the way out each day that we were there. And I don't know how much fuel I've got left in my tank. Lucky if I got half a tank or whatever on the way home. So yeah, fuel in total works at about £110. Mileage is really difficult because I haven't reconciled the numbers. I think last time I checked, it was over 1,300. I think we were heading towards 1,400. So we probably did somewhere between 1,400 and 1,500 miles on the bike for £110, £120. So with those 3 totals added together, we're about £1,562, give or take. Now the next one on the list is going to be a bit challenging. I've gone through my bank statement. I did take some cash with me, so it's a bit difficult to tell exactly how much I spent. But spending money for the trip, which includes ferry on the way out, the way back, food and drinks and snacks throughout the day. Didn't really buy anything out there other than a few odds and sods, like a small souvenir, a magnet, various earplugs and stuff. Adding it all up, I think it came to somewhere in the region of, from my bank statement, just over £400, and we're probably going to add about £100 cash onto that, bringing that up to about £504.53. So that gives me a grand total of the trip now of £1,966.53. Obviously, that's going to be completely dependent upon how you decide to live while you're out there, snacks you buy. We did pretty well. We were going out for a decent meal every evening, and we weren't skimping. We were having the food we wanted and some drinks. On the road in the daytime, pretty minimal. We were sort of a bakery with a coffee and a pastry for breakfast, and then trying to find something at lunchtime proved to be a bit difficult, so we were just kind of snacking on the road. But like I said, we didn't skimp in the evenings. It was a decent meal, included with drinks. So next thing is the breakdown cover. The breakdown cover I found through my insurance company, they would only do it for the entire year, and it would add something like £100 onto my policy. I didn't feel it was worth it. Shopping around, there were some places I found that I'd never heard of that were super cheap, so I didn't trust it. But I ended up going with Green Flag, which cost me about £40 for 10 days cover. So I thought that was pretty reasonable. And then that brings the total to £2,006.53. And now I guess for the final one is any other gear or stuff that I needed for the trip. There were some small things, like I needed a waterproof envelope to put my important paperwork in, but that was just a few pounds, so I'm not really going to include that. I did buy a disc lock specifically for this trip that was about £60, but again, I can't really say it's for this trip because I will use that from now on whenever I take my bike anywhere. I did also get a summer or all seasons jacket, which was a Risha one. I managed to get a great deal on that. It was £270 down to, I think it was about £170 at Mega Motorcycle Store. But again, I'm going to use that for years, so I don't really count that as a cost for this trip. Likewise with the gloves, I bought some Alpine Stars mesh summer gloves as well, and I think I got those for about £60 to £70. Of course, there was the camera, there was the microphones, the mounts and the other gear, but again, because I wanted to set up a YouTube channel, I can't really just attribute that to this trip. I'm going to be using that, and I have been using it for more, so again, that's not really included in the cost of the trip. Luggage is another one that people might be interested in. Now, I already experimented with a couple of short trips in the UK in terms of just an overnight trip or even a day trip. A friend of mine, Graham, who's on the video with the 765 RS, he's got some Krieger tail packs, and then myself and Simon decided to try out some cheaper Rhino Walk ones to see if they'd work on our bike. I already had a 20 litre Rhino Walk, which I purchased for maybe just over £20, and I also had a 12 litre one that I purchased for about £14. I needed the Krieger dry pack straps to go on the pillion seat of my bike. They ran about £25 a pack. For this specific trip, I bought one extra 12 litre pack to go on the left side, and that cost me, I think, £17. So all in all, the 3 bags themselves might have cost, £50-60, and the Krieger attachment points £25. So if you wanted to factor something like that in as a basic luggage set, then you could do, but I'm not going to count that in this cost because I already had 2 of the bags with the attachment points. So really I only spent £15 to £17 on one 12 litre bag. And so there it is. So all in, it's about £2,000. Completely depends on all the different factors as to whether you share a cabin with somebody, the dates you choose on the ferry, how you choose to eat whilst you're out there. If you've got more luggage, you might choose to pack some snacks and other things to keep it cheaper. One of the things I will say is that the ferry, the food is quite pricey, and if you're on the ferry for 2 days on the way out and a day and a half on the way back, you will just be buying drinks and food on it, and it isn't cheap. So it would be best if you want to save some cash and you've got the space to just pack some food and some drink and things like that if you want to. But yeah, accommodation, I think you might be able to save some money if you shared. Some of the rooms we booked were twin rooms. Most of them were doubles. If you wanted to share with somebody, you could probably half the $60 to $70 a night. But, we all wanted a room, and I felt like $60 a night for your own room and your own facilities was a bit of a bargain compared to this country. So all in all, it wasn't too bad. I think the thing that surprised me the most was the cost of the ferry. Having never done that before and only got a ferry on a car to like the Isle of Wight and things like that, where you pay 60, 70, 80 pounds, having to pay nearly £1,000 for the ferry, admittedly £260 for the cabins, but I was expecting the ferry in my head to be £300-400, not over 700 even without the cabins. So that was a big expense, I feel, that I didn't really take into account. It was only when we met at the pub, we booked it, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's more than I thought, but it's not something you do every day, so be it. That's it for this one, guys. So I just thought I'd put this video out there because it might help somebody to get a bit of an insight into what things cost for a road trip like this, and hopefully it helps somebody in the future. But that's it for this one. The next Spain episode will be coming out hopefully on Friday. I've got a ton of video editing to do and a lot of things going on, but I'm going to do my best to continue to get one out every Friday, and also experiment with a few other ideas for videos as well. But if you have any ideas that you'd like to see, then please let me know, and I'll take those into consideration as well. Thanks for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one.